Okay, so the Rise of Skywalker reviews are out. The movie itself comes out today worldwide in America, and the reviews have been pretty mediocre for this one. I mean, it's been review bombed. It's got a 58 on Metacritic. Sorry, 58 on Rotten Tomatoes and a 53 on Metacritic, which is pretty mediocre. I think that's probably average for the modern day bombastic Hollywood title. But the other two Star Wars have fared pretty well. They all had 90s on Rotten Tomatoes and like 80s on Metacritic. But this time it's the critics that are really bombing this one, and I thought they were extremely generous with the other two movies, especially considering the fact that, going into this so-called trilogy, this so-called sequel trilogy, you couldn't have had much more than wishful thinking. I mean, the whole thing was pretty predictable. And it's really been an ideological mess. It's just nothing has really had any cohesiveness to it at all. It's just, in the words of both Angry Joe and Yang Yan, you might as well check out their reviews, especially Yang Yan's his live reaction walking out of the theater. Both of them were extremely disappointed. They called it poorly conceived fan fiction, which, I mean, I don't think you can say it better than that. Angry Joe said he had low expectations, and he still ended up being disappointed. So I just want to talk about how terrible this trilogy has been all along. I mean, I think there's a great video called Why The Force Awakens is the worst movie of all time. It's not the worst movie of all time, but it is one of the most shameless movies of all time. This entire trilogy is shameless. I remember when George Lucas told an interviewer that he was ashamed of himself for selling Star Wars, which he created entirely his own. Everything, almost everything in Star Wars was from George Lucas, and he felt that by giving it to Disney, he gave it to the white slave master. And I mean, couldn't have said it much better than that. And it's especially egregious that Kathleen Kennedy, who's someone that he's worked with before, a friend that he's known for a long time, that she would completely ruin his creation just for the sake of money, just so they could sell more action figures and those kind of things. And George did a lot of that too, but at least the heart and soul of it was there. There's been no heart and soul in these movies, and I can't imagine how many diehard fans have been showing up to the theater. I was bored to tears watching the last one. I thought that Force Awakens was okay, but the entire trilogy has been the good parts. Only the good parts have been repetitive. They've been derivative, and it's just boring. There's no magic. I never felt a spark of magic watching any of these movies, and it does feel like bad fan fiction. It feels like a lot of retconning and a lot of characters, mainly that we don't care about. One of the things that's so weird is that they have the black stormtrooper. They have John Boyega, who doesn't seem like a bad actor. He seemed like he could have been a really good character, but I think his entire screen time in all three movies is not very much at all. Probably he only gets a few minutes of screen time in the first two movies. I haven't even seen this new movie. I haven't bothered to see it. I've heard some spoilers about it, and you know, uh, but it's the same, Hollywood. We have to give everybody a happy ending, and we run out of ideas, so we're gonna have this mashup of three different visions. They never had a real strong concept. I think they should have waited more years, right, when they purchased Lucasfilm, and what was it, like 2012 or something? Only a few years before they started production on all these movies. They really should have gone the route of just an entirely new story, not touch on, maybe have a little bit of nostalgia there, but not try to retcon the whole thing. It's all been ridiculous, really. Killing Han Solo, that was an idea that they had way back in the day, and they scrapped that idea because it doesn't make a whole lot of sense. It's kind of stupid. And so, nobody cares about the Skywalker children, or, who whatever their lineage is, it's all boring. I mean, Star Wars has been told, and it's been told well. And even the prequel trilogy, which did not have the best CGI, it did not have the best writing, but it did feel genuine. There were definitely some great moments and some original moments thought through in that trilogy, but not in this one. This one has been soulless from the very beginning. And I especially want to reiterate how they have all these new characters that have no place for existing. I mean, I guess the main character is really this Rey character, and she doesn't do anything special. There's no real fascination in her. There's nothing compelling about her other than she's a woman with a lightsaber. And I think we've kind of seen that before. I mean, she's nowhere near the badass that Carrie Fisher was when, she was Princess Leia. She was the princess that's fighting back. I mean, there's just too much female empowerment and diversity. It's all forced. It's just a Hollywood agenda. But no surprise that this movie's review bombed. It'll probably still do huge numbers at the box office, but we've seen a steady decline. They blew their load too fast on this one with this whole plan of sequels and various media. It was all unnecessary. I hope that George Lucas got a lot of money from it. I know he made a lot of money from the deal, but it's not really enough. They really ruined Star Wars. It was completely unnecessary to bring out. It was really the sequel trilogy that no one asked for, and it couldn't have been more bombastic. It couldn't have been more convoluted, and that's what it is, really. Cheap tricks, cheap thrills, and bad jokes, bad writing, just poorly executed. And these are the Hollywood bigwigs that they run the show, and they're supposed to be the creative-minded people, and you have fans calling it bad fan fiction. I mean, that's pretty much what it is. George Lucas was the man. All right, for people that don't understand, something great in a movie is usually the vision of one man or one woman. But you cannot have this committee of all these people coming in, throwing in their ideas, and they don't know what they want. So how are they going to even please the fans? I just laugh at the people that take this stuff seriously, but these are the kind of movies that people will continue to go to see because it's all that they know. They don't know about the alternatives, but it's just amusing. I'm glad that the reviewers are giving some more honesty, because I thought really the worst movie was the second one. I thought that Rian Johnson's a very talented director, but the movie was very boring. It was very slow. It didn't go anywhere. And I thought, okay, the first movie they killed Han Solo. They're gonna kill Luke Skywalker. Like, why are they just killing off the main characters of Star Wars? Like, that is the essence of Star Wars. And if you're going to bring out these new characters, at least give us something to root for with them. They're just archetypes. They're just cardboard cutouts. There's nothing unique about them at all. Han Solo was this badass space. I don't know. He was like this smuggler. He was this cowboy in space. That was unique. We never seen anything like that. Like Princess Leia, she was the princess who she didn't mind kicking some ass too. I mean, she wasn't there to be saved, really. She was there to fight back. And Luke was this boy who grew up. He didn't know much. He'd never seen anything. He had to grow up and learn all these things. And I mean, those were great actors. These actors, not so great. Maybe not the worst actors in the world if they actually had some material to work with. Adam Driver, for example, he's a fantastic actor. We now know, but his character is so damn stupid. Like, that's like the diet version of Darth Vader. Nobody ever cared about that character. Like, they never had any ideas of their own. Okay, they lost the plot. They had no clue what they were doing. They thought, oh, we can just brand it as Star Wars and we'll make some money. But you've seen people turn away from it, and for good reason. Like the video game. When the video game is better than the movie, that tells you something. Alright, when you're taking a movie and it's more enjoyable as fan fiction in a video game than as a film, that tells you everything. So, I've been against the trilogy since the beginning. Not because it's something new, just because it's something bad. Like, it just had no reason to exist, and it did not earn its rightful place in cinema or to be branded as Star Wars. Like, it's completely forgettable. If you forget about the movie walking out of it, then you know that it's a bust. And you have a lot of people walking out of this new one that wish they never went to see it. Completely disappointed, completely bored, and really amused, but for the wrong reasons. That's how I feel about it too. I think it's always been bad for mainly the reasons I said, because they had these characters and these scenarios that had already been done, and they had no reason for bringing new characters in, especially when they had no plan, they had no roadmap uh, at all. It was a galaxy far, far away, and that's where it should have stayed.